All right, everybody. Chapter 11 is a very interesting period in your life. And it starts in an interesting way of, once again, you are having trouble getting your commissions. So this is 3 to 4 weeks, and you can't get payment.
Yeah.
So you have to turn into some survival skills here, right?
Yeah.
And you essentially become a survivalist. Tell us how that was.
Couple of curse words, couple of heated, curse words. And I was told to not use curse words in the office.
So where the fuck is my money was frowned upon in the office.
Pretty much.
But appropriate too. I
was desperate, man. I was desperate. I needed the money. I had 3 kids, that I had to care for. And I had no money. I was stuck. So the aggression came out, and I was paid the next day.
And you do some interesting things in this chapter. Mm-hmm. One, you put your real estate license in escrow.
Yeah. Later in the chapter, I did, because I was working at a real estate firm that was causing me a lot of stress. And they got bought out by another real estate firm, a larger, more reputable real estate firm. Mm-hmm. And the managing partner there asked me if I wanted to stay. And I said, I think it would be a good time for me to put my license in escrow, which means I can, later in life, I couldn't practice real estate while it's in escrow. But later in life, if I wanted to take it out of escrow, it's a simple process. You pay a little fee, fill out this form, and you send it in to the state in which you're in. I was in Pennsylvania, so it was the Real Estate Commission of Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And then you could practice again, which I did later, and you'll find that out in the book too. But I was working at Bally Total Fitness at the time, and I was making pretty good money. To me, $3 to $4 grand a month back then was really good money, and I was loving it. So I transitioned from real estate part-time, right, and Bally Total Fitness full-time, to just putting my license in escrow and focusing on Bally Total Fitness full-time.
Which is wild to hear. And it sounds like one of the reasons you took this path is because you could get cash quicker, mm-hmm. and take care of your family better working at the gym than with your real estate career.
Yeah. I always thought that I would go back to real estate, but I needed stabilization at this point. Having 3 kids that, you have to pay child support for, and then feed yourself and pay your bills is it's very tough to do, right, if you don't have adequate employment. So Bally Total Fitness was a sure thing, since real estate is commission based. Mm-hmm. So
and it put you in a good position, kind of, as a father.
Yeah.
There was you would then go to Aunt May. And
well, let's back up and talk about that commission-based opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's very, very hard to do. If you don't sell, you don't eat.
We're talking real estate?
We're talking real estate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And what's crazy is these TV shows sensationalize it, right? And, you got these big houses and these big commissions, and that's only a small section or sector of this country, right? You got major cities like New York, Miami, Los Angeles. Yeah, you got on average, some higher priced homes. So the commissions are going to be, on average, more. Mm-hmm. But the average real estate agent in the country, I don't know what they make, but I know it's not what you see on TV, as seen on TV. And, those shows are great. As a matter of fact, I was on season 4, episode 4 of Selling Sunset. Mm-hmm. So that was fun, right? But it's not reality. It's a reality TV show.
Well, in an effort to kind of educate our audience a little bit, earlier in the book, when you went into real estate, you had essentially a year where you were just learning and not taking any commission.
Yeah,
Is that a reality still?
That was on me. That was my personal choice. I had a full-time job working at night, and I would go home, get a shower, put on a suit that I bought from Marshall's, Marshall's clothing store, mm-hmm. or department store. Let me tell you something. I got like 5 suits for I don't even know how much back then, but I used a tax return check, right, to buy the suits. It might have been $500.
Yeah.
Had them tailored, and I was set. And basically, I don't know, man. I just went at it. You know what I mean? I went at it. And I made the decision because I wanted to be the best that I could be. Not better than anyone else, but the best that I could be. So I would do my full-time night job. I get a shower, go to the real estate office during the day. I work a full-time day job. And I learn. I read books, and I just went through everything I can get my hands on to make me a better real estate agent. I just took it all in. And shout out to Jeff Salamone and Nick Salamone for helping me, migrate into the industry. They taught me everything they knew. And, at the end of that first year, I sold my first home. And I think my commission check was like $1,200, and I was hooked. I was like, "Oh my God, this is great," And I did work 2 full-time jobs that entire year, and only one paid. So, real estate is commission based, but that was my choice.
Do you recommend that approach?
I don't like to give advice like that, but for some people it may work. I know what worked for me, and what worked for me may not work for someone else. So people need to, search and soul search and do what's best for their family.
Yeah, speaking of doing what's best for the family, that brings us back to Bally's. It also brings back to now you are too busy to do handyman activities for Aunt May, so you switch over to just a check.
Yeah, Aunt May was gracious. Thank God for Aunt May is the name of the chapter. And she was very dear to me, very important person in my life. And some of my duties were fixing things like tighten up the hinge, check the toilet because the running water, it won't stop. And, just little stuff like that around the house. And every now and then I would have to help her out of her chair, right, into her wheelchair, take her over to the stairs. You remember those commercials where the old people take the electric chair up the stairs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to help her in the chair. I had to go upstairs, and I had to watch her slowly come up that electric chair up against the wall, help her get out of that electric chair into the wheelchair, and then take her into her bedroom, get her ready for bed. Sometimes I had to bathe her a little bit, and sometimes I had to help her change. It was a meaningful moment, right? Because I knew that she needed me, and I took it seriously, and I think she really appreciated that. So it was a labor of love for real.
Yeah, and it sounds like it was easy to take on that caretaker role because of who she was.
Yeah, exactly. But I did not feel bad when I had to approach her because I was busy. Social life, right? I moved down to the Center City, Philly. West Philly. I lived with Aunt May, and my job was in Center City, so we'd go out for a happy hour. And what would happen is I'd be out too late, and I couldn't get home. So I had to have a conversation with Aunt May, like, hey, I can't make it every night, so why don't we come up with a deal? And she was like, okay, all you have to do is pay $250 a month for rent. Now back then, it was so little money.
Mm-hmm.
Today it's a little money, but can you imagine living somewhere for $250 a month? Man, I was so thankful.
I get it. Yeah, well, that makes the padlock worth it, right?
Makes the padlock living worth it.
So it wouldn't be your story if we didn't have a couple of trials and tribulations right around the corner.
There you go.
And Bally's changes their commission structure.
And I was receiving barely $500 a month. So it was very trying. I remember those days very clearly, vividly. Sometimes I couldn't catch the $2 train home. I had to walk home. And it would take me about an hour, to walk home.
I caught that line, and I wrote it down. I would walk home instead of taking the $2 train.
Yeah.
But it was costing you an hour walk?
Yeah, because I was moseying, right? Because I was in a deep state of depression. I wasn't like trying to get home quickly. Otherwise, I could have made it in 45 minutes. But no, I took my time, tried not to overexert the energy. And occasionally I'd have to knock on the back of restaurants and beg for food. So there was no shame in that. I literally, I had $2 in my pocket, and I'd knock on the back of a restaurant in West Philly, and I'd just be like, hey, man, I got $1, man. Listen, my bills are paid. I'm struggling right now. I got $1. You got some food, and I'll take anything, some protein, chicken or beef, and maybe some vegetables. And the guy, was always cool. He was like, nah, keep your money, man. You good. And there was never any embarrassment. The embarrassment came when I thought about calling my mom or a family member. That was embarrassing. I couldn't do that. I didn't do that. I didn't call anyone for help. I said to myself, if I'm not going to get out of this situation, I'm not going to get out of this situation. It's on me to feed myself, to take care of myself. I refused to call anybody or ask for help. And I regret that now. 2020 hindsight. I wish I would have called my mom or another family member or friend and maybe borrowed a little bit of money or got something to eat. I wish I would have done that, but the embarrassment at that time, it was just like the biggest mountain to climb. I just couldn't do it.
And you were, quote unquote, shredded, but really starving.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to date. I pretty much dated every nationality. I dated the United Nations, right? I
Sure.
dated an Irish girl, Italian girl, Jewish girl, Indian girl. At this particular time, it was a really good time in my life because I was working out. I was starving. Occasionally, I met a new friend who would have an opportunity that I could, maybe hang out and get some free beer because they had a really good full-time job. And, I met some amazing women, African-American women, African women. I even dated a girl from Iran. For a year and a half.
Wow.
One of the reasons why we broke up is her aunt used to come over to her apartment, and bring her food. And she was like, oh, my God, my aunt's here. I didn't expect her. You got to hide in the shower.
Oh, my God.
I was like, come on, like, that's offensive, man. And so that played into us breaking up. But, yes, I was shredded. And in this particular time, I was dating a Jamaican girl, beautiful girl with dreads. It was awesome.
But you're hungry. You're crying yourself to
starving,
sleep.
Man. As a matter of fact, one night I got up and I went to the bathroom and she was like, "Oh my God, like your body is amazing. You're so ripped up. You're shredded. You look like a model." And I was like, "Thank you." And I went to the bathroom. I looked in the mirror and I said to myself, "My God, she has no idea you're starving."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two things occur right around here. One, you had a shot at a different job, but a college degree would prevent that
got
from
in
happening.
The way. Yeah. Two of the guys I used to hang with, right, that I had just mentioned,
Yeah.
they had really good full-time jobs. They worked at a company called Jones Lang LaSalle, which is a commercial real estate firm. All over the world, they have offices. And we'd go to happy hours, and they'd always pay. Great opportunity to drink for free, And I had my real estate license, but I was a residential, specialist, and they were commercial. And they took a liking to me and said, "Hey, man, you should come work for us. That way we can, hang out all day and go to happy hour at night." And I was like, this is a good job. Like, this could change my life. So they got me an interview. And I put on one of those suits that I got from Marshall's, right? I was looking good, man.
Shout out to Marshall's.
So I went in for the interview, and I nailed the interview. And the manager said, "Listen, Lenny, I'd love to hire you, but you don't have a college degree." And I said, "Listen, I get that. I understand that. but you have a tuition reimbursement program, don't you? And he said, yes, we do. I said, I tell you what, you hire me and I promise you within 30 days, I will enroll in school. I will get a degree by using your tuition reimbursement program. And he was like, oh my God, you're great. I know you do well in sales here. And I said, listen, not only will I do well, but I promise you in my first year, going into my second year, possibly, I will be your number one salesperson. I guarantee it. And he was like, oh man, you're great, but I can't. You don't have a college degree. And I said, I'll tell you what, when I was waiting for you in the lobby to be interviewed, I noticed the trophy case. You had some trophies in there. And he was like, yeah, every year we have a softball tournament, and between the offices. And I said, I tell you what, I'm an exceptional athlete. If you hire me, not only will I enroll in college within 30 days by way of using your tuition reimbursement program, I will ensure that you win a trophy every year. I guarantee it. He was like, my God, he was tripping. He was like, I really want to hire you, but it's policy. You have to have a college degree. And I tell you what, go to school, get a college degree, come back, I'll hire you on the spot. Mm-hmm. And so I left feeling a little dejected, rejected, but encouraged too, because I went in and I applied for a job and I interviewed for a job and I could have got the job if I would have had that damn piece of paper.
Yeah, and it is literally in this case that damn piece of paper. I paid attention to see like, oh, you weren't taking no for an answer. You were making deals and trying to get it in, and it was just it was a black and white issue.
Yeah,
and that did that bring you back to losing Pitt?
No, man. I immediately enrolled into DeVry University, studying business, and I went at it. And unfortunately, I don't know, 6-8 months later, I got into a situation where there was a group project, and our entire group failed. And I showed the professor all of my work, my individual work, like I did my duty. I did my shit, right? And it's not my fault that other people goofed off. And so I felt like I should get some credit, and I didn't. I got a failure, an F. And DeVry University, they didn't work with me at all. They were like, basically, psh. And that left a sour taste in my mouth because, remember, I'm busting my ass. I took on a little bit of student loan. I got 3 kids that I got to pay for. Money is tight. And you're going to fail me. I paid for that class. You're going to fail. Like, come on, man. No. This don't sit well with me. Mm-hmm. So I was like, jive that. And that's why I left. It's not that I couldn't do it. It's just that I felt that I got like swindled, man. It's not cool.
Well, something really cool does happen involving Teresa where she's surprised that you don't have a college education.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That must have felt a certain way.
It did. It felt good.
Yeah.
Right? She thought that I was educated. And I am a kid from Norristown who I believe in a lifelong, learning process for everyone. But, I can't control everyone. I can only control me. So my personal development is important to me. So I always tried to learn, right? And I know a lot of shit about a lot of different things. And so I was out one night with her in a restaurant in Rittenhouse Square. Mm-hmm. And Cuba Libre, I think it was. No. Cuba de Amo. No. It was something Cuban, right? it was something.
That was the name of the restaurant.
Yeah,
something Cuban.
It was something Cuban, hot restaurant in Rittenhouse Square, mm-hmm. and on Walnut Street. And we got to talking about college degrees and whatnot. And I said, well, I don't have one. She was like, what? I thought you did. Like, you're intelligent. What's going on? I was like, no, I'm enrolled in DeVry University and blah, blah, blah. And, I thought that made me feel good.
Yeah, and I think that coupled with the interview earlier should kind of be a lesson to people out there of like, you are more than your degree.
Right.
And
you are more than your degree. And if you didn't know, you are enough just the way you are. You always have been. And I want people to know that, you know?
You also have an amazing introductory line to Teresa. I'm going to show you this machine, but don't look at my butt. That's a line and a half.
I wasn't
And you guys were just trying to be friends.
No. Listen. I worked that day.
Yeah.
And I left. I walked home. I got on my bike and I rode my bike back just to work out. So I'm in the middle of working out. And the housekeeping staff came up with, to me and said, hey, there's a lady at the front desk. She's looking for a membership. At this time, I worked in the gym, selling corporate gym memberships. And I'm like, I'm just working out. I'm not working. So I'm good. And they were like, no, she seems like a nice lady. I like nice people. I especially like nice ladies.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right. I go up. Hi, my name's Lenny Bazemore. She said, hi, my name's Teresa. I said, let me show you around. I show her the gym. I get to this exercise machine, and it's the one that you lift back, and, it's to tighten the glutes. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm going to show you this machine, but don't look at my butt. And, of course, she looked at my butt. And we started laughing, and she was easy to talk to, right? Show her the rest of the gym, take her in the office, try to sign her up. And she's like, hey, I would sign up. I like this gym, but I just got here. I've been here 6 days, right? She came from St. Louis. It's her sixth day in Philadelphia. And she wanted to check out another gym. And I said, no, I get it. But, you're probably going to join there because if I could, I would. That's like the best gym in Philadelphia. And, next day I called her and she was like, no, I signed up for the other gym. I said, all right, cool. I would have. No hard feelings. Mm-hmm. I said, but I'll keep your number and you can have my number just in case of an emergency because you don't know anybody in Philly. And now you do, right? And so that turned into us hanging out every now and then. We became friends for the next 6 months, mm-hmm. which was incredible, right? We'd go to the symphony. We'd go to the pool hall. We'd go to the bar. We'd go to the lounge. We'd go to dinner. We'd take walks in the park. We'd take walks all over the city. It was just regular stuff, right? I never had this before. I never had a grown-ass woman be my friend and just my friend. And it was kind of cool. She was dating someone else at the time. I was dating someone else. As a matter of fact, I was dating the Iranian girl at the time. And we had broken up. And, I was seeing someone else. And then that person wanted to get married and have a kid. And I was like, no. Mm-hmm. I got 3 kids. This happened to me twice, man. I was like, no, I already got 3 kids that I could barely care for. I'm not trying to make another. And so I broke up with her, and she was really upset about that. I'm like, it's not going to do. I'm not trying to have a kid. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to get, that call, right? That Kathy call.
Yeah.
No surprises, man. I wanted consistency. Plus, the women that I was dating at the time were educated women because I made that transition. I no longer wanted to date someone who wasn't educated and have something going on, in their own life. And
you talk about going from saying you used to date girls, now you date women.
Well, I always say that before I met Teresa, I dated girls. When I met Teresa, I met an amazing, intelligent, educated, strong, beautiful black woman, and it changed my life. And we were friends for 6 months. And one day I was like, I called her up, I was like, hey, I can't stop thinking about you. She was like, oh, I can't stop thinking about you either. I said, how about if I come over to your apartment like I always did? Mm-hmm. And at the time we this is funny. We would have wine, right? And we'd sample different wines from different regions in the world, mm-hmm. right? And at this time, I think it was a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, right? And Nobilo was the vineyard. And I said, I'll come over, we'll have a glass of wine and you make one of those cute little salads that you make, and afterwards we'll kiss, and if there's a spark, we'll sit down and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, okay, that sounds nice. So I went over and had the wine, had the salad, and we kissed, and there was a spark. And, we did what adults do, And so soon after that, we sat down on the couch and we said, because we were friends for 6 months. And this next step took us both by surprise. It was not like, oh, yeah, this is, it's not going to, like, we didn't know this was going to happen. And now that it did, two adults sit on the couch. Okay, what do you want in life? What do you, we went down the whole list of things that we wanted, and a lot of it matched up.
And that was all on that first night.
No, it was probably 3 or 4 nights of
I do
getting
like,
closer and talking.
I do like the callback to Gwen doing what young people do. Now you are doing what you were doing. I appreciate the callback.
Son.
That's literally what I wrote down in my notes.
Yeah.
So, question about that. I can't stop thinking of you.
Yeah, that was weird.
Were you nervous?
No, it was just weird. Like,
Where-
this is
yeah.
my friend, right?
How long had you been
romantic-
harboring this?
It instantaneously. I woke up from a nap and I was like, why the fuck can't I stop thinking about her? So I never thought of it before. And during that split second when I woke up, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Right? I'm like, wait a minute. One of those things. I just called her up. I was like, hey, I can't stop thinking about you. There was a threshold. A 6-month friendship had just turned into something else. I trusted her. I thought she was a good person. And I had probably underlining feelings emotionally about her, the consistency that she brought to the table. It was everything that I was looking for. So I took a nap, woke up. You could say that it was an epiphany, right? That here's a good woman in front of me. Let me see where it goes. So we ended up taking it slow for a few years, and I mean really slow, and for about 4 years. And I was like, man, this is the one. After I went down to Virginia with her and met her father, saw the way that she treated her father. Mm-hmm. It's like, man, I want some of that. Like, I want a woman that's going to treat me with love and respect. Someone who's going to cheer me on. Because thus far, the only women I dated were, as I say, the girls, right? Mm-hmm. That I dated. They didn't lift me up and hey, Lenny, you can do this sort of thing. Hey, man, you can do this. Believe in yourself. Come on, let's go. You can do this. Teresa's the first person in my life that ever cheered me on that way. And I fucking took it and I never looked back, man. I was like, this one, this my wife. This is the woman that God wanted me to be with. And I acknowledge that. And I thank God for it.
I think that is one of the most important parts of the book so far, is this meeting. Mm-hmm. And knowing Teresa now, I really got a kick out of how a lot of this seemed like the way a corporate president or CEO would approach a relationship.
She wasn't that at the time. She was a GC at the time.
But at the same time, it's very like scripted. Yes, I think that would be
corporate
appropriate.
Executive.
Corporate executive. Okay. But I got a kick out of that there's a little bit of an executive in the way you guys were approaching this relationship, which maybe is just being ready to enter a mature relationship.
She was ready for it. I was ready for it. Let's touch base on her perspective as a corporate executive. When she was GC of her company, she had an opportunity because the president of her company, right, quit. He was done. So her company asked her, as the general counsel, the main attorney for the company, to pick up the slack and, take over his role. So she was the general counsel. She took his job, the president, and then she was also the chief risk officer of her company. 3 jobs at one time and her company paid her for one. Now, as a black woman executive, you might think, like, what the hell? But she just put her head down and did the job. And then about a year goes by, and they promoted her to president. And I watched every, moment of it. And she possesses fortitude and consistency like I've never seen before.
We'll find out more about Teresa in chapter 12.